Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good day to you. That's depending where you are in the world. I'm here in London doing the nighttime devotion from the devotional Christ Triumphant. The title today, Enoch's experience can be ours. Hebrews 2 verse 11. For the one who sanctifies and those who are sanctified all have one Father. For this reason, Jesus is not ashamed to call them brothers and sisters. Of Enoch, it is written that he lived 65 years and begat a son. After that, he walked with God 300 years. During these earlier years, Enoch had loved and feared God and had kept his commandments. But after the birth of his first son, Enoch reached a higher experience. But after the birth, after the birth of his first son, Enoch reached a higher experience. He was drawn into a closer relationship with God. He realized more fully his own obligations and responsibility as a son of God. What a blessing. What a blessed thing it is that we had an Enoch. Notwithstanding the corruption that was so great around him, yet he walked with God, and his light shone out to that degenerate age. And if Enoch walked with God amid corruption then, why cannot men and women walk with God today, in the age of this world? Many of us know something of this experience. We know that in sadness and grief, we feel very frail. But we know that Jesus is right by our side to sympathize with us, and he helps us. We can commune with our best friend. He is right by our side. We need not go into the heavens to bring him down, but he is right by us to help us. As we walk in the streets with those who care not for God or heaven or heavenly things, we can talk to them of Jesus. We have something more precious than they to look upon. Jesus. He is with us in the moral darkness of this age. We can tell him of the afflictions of our soul and the wickedness in the world, and none of these things need hinder us. We can talk with Jesus. We can talk with Jesus as Enoch talked with God. He could tell his Lord all about his trials. Enoch formed a righteous character, and the result was that he was translated to heaven without seeing death. When the Lord shall come the second time, there will be some who will be translated without seeing death. And we want to know if we will be among that number. We want to know if we are wholly on the Lord's side, partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust, but by trying to make a clear path for our feet, where we shall have no trials or difficulties to meet, but by placing ourselves in the right relation to God, letting him take care of all the consequences. Enoch's experience can be ours. He walked with God, he talked with God, he listened, he learned, and he lived with God, but here on earth. He kept all the commandments. He had a right relationship with God. And we know about it and we believe it. And in believing, we have to do. In this degenerate world, in this lifetime, and the Bible says this world will get worse than it's ever been in the history of the world. Now, in the time of Noah, it got bad. Considering Sodom and Gomorrah, that was bad. The time of Noah was bad, but it's going to get worse. So much worse. And we need to be ready. This world is falling more and more into moral darkness. And other than talking about the alphabet people who have hijacked God's sign to us, that bow in the sky. And all those people that mess with little people and don't get the justice is not served there. All the famous, well-known big people are well known for messing with little people. Very dark world we live in. The wickedness that goes on. Most of the people in this world don't know about it. Don't want to believe it, don't want to accept it. And no, we shouldn't accept it. But it is happening. And in many aspects, we cannot do much about it. But there are those that can and who do know. I'll read the last part. We want to know if we are wholly on the Lord's side, partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust, not by trying to make a clear path by our feet where we shall have no trials or difficulties to meet, but by placing ourselves in a right relation with God and letting Him take care of the consequences. The battle is not ours, it is His, it's our Father's. But we need to trust Him and put our lives in His hands. And that means constantly praying and constantly looking to Him.